Gottfried. It's been a long time, man.
Moving forward, whomever is the new head coach, the quarterback is Lamar Jackson. And there was so much chatter and curiosity about the relationship between coach and quarterback. And now the coach is no longer, but the quarterback is. And there's decisions to be made moving forward as it relates to that. How do you think Baltimore proceeds specifically in regards to Lamar Jackson?
This one's tricky. I mean, because look, ever since Lamar arrived in Baltimore, John has been steadfast in his explanation and his, description of this organization being centered around Lamar Jackson. It was built in order to accentuate his strengths, minimize his weaknesses, and that's all that Lamar has ever known. And now that your number one advocate, the guy who basically reshaped this entire organization for you, is no longer there, now it's a whole new set of rules. Now, I understand Eric DeCosta is still going to be there, and Steve Bisciotti is going to own the football team. But you know what? This is kind of the time where when you factor in his age, injury history, salary, he negotiates his own contracts. There's been widespread, reporting on the fact that it wasn't always easy as far as them trying to negotiate the deal that he currently is playing under. These are kind of things that kind of like, this is where the winds of change start to blow, or at least the conversation surrounding them, because I'm sure there's going to be people within that organization who occupy a seat at the decision-making table who are going to say, is it time to start thinking about resetting this thing? Scott, everything's on the table, man.
Isn't it fascinating? So much conversation that if Pittsburgh were to miss out, perhaps they would go in a different direction as it related to Mike Tomlin. A kick is missed, and instead it's the second longest tenured coach that they met 40 different times.
That's right.
And now Baltimore goes in a different direction. We'll see where it leads, Lewis. As always, appreciate your time and your insight, my friend. A missed field goal prevented the Ravens from winning the AFC North and a spot in the playoffs. Team announced they were firing head coach John Harbaugh after 18 seasons. They were the preseason betting co-favorites to win the Super Bowl. At 8-9, they finished with a losing record for just the third time under Harbaugh. Breakups aren't ever mutual, but I do believe this is a rare example where mutual respect and appreciation frame almost 20 years together coming to an end. Harbaugh has been excellent. The Ravens have been excellent. Organizational continuity is a big part of what I admire about Baltimore, but they have endured a bunch of excruciating defeats lately to end seasons, including 16 blown leads in the final 5 minutes of games in the last 5 seasons alone. The very best teams just don't do that. Is it Harbaugh's fault that they fumbled in Cincinnati on the goal line in the playoffs, or on the goal line against Kansas City in the playoffs yet again, or dropped a pass again in the playoffs against Buffalo, or missed a field goal against Pittsburgh to miss the playoffs? No, it's not his fault, but voices and messages can grow tired over time. Maybe the Ravens benefit from a new one, while there will be a long line of teams hoping to hear Harbaugh's voice and message. So perhaps, after a long, successful run together, if nothing else, this could prove to be mutually beneficial. Joined now by our senior NFL insider, Adam Schefter. Adam, you and I in New York City on Saturday, where we were for a special edition of Countdown, talked off the air about this very possibility. And then Sunday with Greeny on Countdown, you illuminated a little bit more that this was a possibility, but that was the possibility. It's now a reality. How'd we get from there to here?
It just felt like it was time. Just like we see businesses after a long period of time change out the CEO sometimes, Scott. I think in this particular case, after 18 years, Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti was ready to move in a different direction. I think they ended their relationship peacefully. It certainly seemed like that. Both made statements to that effect, but it seemed like Steve Bisciotti wanted to take this organization, which has fallen short in recent years, in a different direction. There was the loss in the AFC Championship game, where Zay Flowers dropped the ball as he was crossing the goal line. There was the Mark Andrews two-point conversion drop in Buffalo. There was the missed Tyler Luke field goal on Sunday night. They just couldn't get it across the finish line. It didn't mean that anybody did anything wrong. It just feels like the Ravens felt like They needed to do something to move forward and advance this particular franchise in the future.
And their decision to go in a different direction means the rest of the National Football League now has a possibility that wasn't there when the day began. You tweeted something to the effect that Brian Harlan, his agent, said 7 teams have reached out. Adam, I'm doing the math on that, and explain why that math is significant that 7 teams would have inquired about the availability of John Harbaugh.
Well, first of all, Scott, it was 7 teams within the first 45 minutes after he was fired. By now, it might be 14 teams. It might be 25 teams, for all we know. But to go back to the initial math, there currently are 7 NFL head coach openings, including Baltimore, the one that just fired him. That means that at least one team that has a sitting head coach called to see if John Harbaugh would be interested in coming to that particular city. And Scott, to be honest here, it was more than one with the sitting coach. It was at least 2. And I think this is as big a coaching change as it was when New England moved on with Bill Belichick. And I think when that happens, there are teams that have to ask themselves, do we believe more in the current coach that we have, or are we better off moving in a different direction with somebody like John Harbaugh? But here's the way it goes. The teams don't get to pick. Yeah. John Harbaugh is the coaching free agent here. He gets to pick where he wants to go. When the Denver Broncos signed Sean Payton, they surrendered 1st and 2nd round draft picks. Now there is another coach of Sean Payton's caliber in John Harbaugh, and you don't have to pay the Baltimore Ravens a 1st and 2nd round pick. You can just sign John Harbaugh. And that's assuming if you can sign him, because there's going to be that much interest and it's going to have that much of a dramatic effect on the head coaching cycle.
Adam, our director, is a Giant fan, and he was asking me if they should go this way or that way, and one of the ways was Harbaugh, and I said, you're implying that you get to pick. As you say so correctly, John Harbaugh gets to pick, and it seems that he'll have carte blanche to perhaps hit the reset button on an entire organization. Fascinating development that you and I discussed the possibility, and now here it is, and as the news breaks, we'll be looking for your feed to share that news with us, Adam. Thanks so much for the time, as always.
Before I go, Scott, I didn't realize that my father, who texted me about the Giants, might have been producing your show, because he wants the Giants to get John Harbaugh, too.
Every G-Man fan, every fan of the G-Man is saying the same thing. You don't get to pick those, folks. You don't get to pick. John does. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, Scott.